Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast where we turn your favorite TV moments into fun, easy English lessons. Today, we're diving into Friends Season 1, Episode 10, the one with the monkey. We'll unpack useful words, phrases, cultural moments, and a little grammar tip you can start using right away. So whether you've seen this episode 100 times or you're watching it for the first time, stick around. Let's learn some English the Friends way. Alright folks, let's talk about the word scramble. It means a rushed, messy effort to grab or achieve something, usually in a bit of a panic. In this episode, Chandler's feeling the pressure of New Year's Eve and jokes about people making a desperate scramble to find anything with lips, meaning anyone to kiss at midnight. It's a funny way to capture how chaotic and silly those last-minute holiday plans can get. A useful word you'll hear often when people are in a hurry for something. Let's break down the word snap. It's what happens when someone suddenly loses control emotionally or mentally, like reaching a breaking point. In this episode, Chandler's overwhelmed by the pressure of finding a New Year's date and admits, "I snapped." It's a relatable moment and a handy word for those times when stress just gets the better of you. Simple, expressive, and very common in casual English. Alright, let's dive into the word methodical. Now, when you call someone methodical, you're saying they do things in a very careful, organized, and structured way, nothing rushed, nothing random. Every step is thought out. In this episode, Phoebe talks about David, calling him very methodical. She's highlighting how he approaches things like a scientist, logical, precise, and maybe even a little too careful sometimes. It's a great word to use when you want to describe someone who's detail-oriented and likes to follow a clear process in whatever they do. Let's talk about the word tidying. It means cleaning or organizing things neatly, making a space look presentable without going overboard. You'll hear it often in daily conversations like, "I was tidying my desk," or "let's tidy up before guests arrive." In this episode of Friends, there's a fun moment where David, instead of dramatically sweeping everything off a table like in the movies, carefully moves each item aside. Phoebe notices this and says, "Okay, now you're just kinda tidying." It's a playful way to point out that he's being too neat when the situation calls for passion and boldness. It's a great example of how a simple word like tidying can be used humorously. So next time you're organizing your room or clearing a table in a very careful way, remember, you're tidying, just like David. Alright, let's break down the phrase, "that's a given." It's a casual, everyday expression we use when something is so obvious or expected, it doesn't even need to be mentioned. It's like an unwritten rule everyone silently agrees on. In this episode of Friends, Joey mentions he'll be bringing a date to the New Year's Eve party, and Chandler quickly replies, "That's a given." Why? Because Joey showing up with a date is just what everyone naturally expects. No surprise there. You can use this phrase in your own conversations too. Say your friend is ordering pizza and you know they always go for extra cheese. You could say, "Extra cheese?" That's a given. It's a simple, smooth way to point out the obvious and makes your English sound a little more natural and relaxed. Let's talk about the phrase, "you're on." It's one of those quick, snappy expressions people use when they're accepting a challenge or agreeing to a plan, and it instantly adds a playful, competitive vibe to the moment. In this Friends episode, Joey dares Ross to kiss someone when the clock strikes midnight on New Year's Eve. Without missing a beat, Ross responds with, "You're on." It's his way of saying challenge accepted. You'll hear this phrase all the time in casual conversations. If a friend says, "Bet you can't finish that spicy burger," and you're up for it, you just grin and say, "You're on." It's short, confident, and makes your English sound natural in friendly dares, games, or plans. Simple to remember, easy to use, and a fun way to keep your conversations lively. Let's dive into the phrase, I'm doomed. It's a dramatic, somewhat exaggerated way of expressing that you feel hopeless about a situation, like you're sure things aren't going to turn out well. It's often used when you think there's no way to fix a problem, or you're feeling overwhelmed. In Friends, Ross says, I'm doomed, because he's worried about being alone at midnight on New Year's Eve. He's convinced that his situation is going to turn out badly, and there's no way out. You can use this phrase in everyday situations when things feel like they're slipping out of control. For example, I forgot my homework again. I'm doomed, or I'm running late for my meeting. I'm doomed. It's a fun way to express that you're really stressed, even if it's not always that serious. Let's take a moment to talk about New Year's Eve traditions, because this episode of Friends captures them perfectly. In many Western cultures, New Year's Eve isn't just another night. It's a big deal. People gather for parties, make resolutions about how they'll improve their lives in the new year, and there's often this idea of sharing a special, romantic moment at midnight, like a kiss when the clock strikes 12. In this episode, you see the characters dealing with exactly that. Ross, especially, is stressed about being single on New Year's Eve. And that's a super relatable cultural theme in movies, shows, and real life. There's this unspoken pressure that the night should be perfect and meaningful. Friends captures that perfectly, showing how people scramble to find dates or company, just to avoid feeling left out when the ball drops. Alright, let's break down a fun little piece of casual English you'll hear all the time, using so for emphasis. In this episode of Friends, one of the characters says, I'm so not going to this party. Now, normally you'd just say, I'm not going, but adding so in front of not makes it stronger, clearer, and more emotional. It's like saying, there's no way I'm doing this. This is something people use a lot in everyday conversations, especially when they feel strongly about something. It's informal, light, and often playful. You might hear someone say, I'm so not eating that, or I am so calling you tomorrow. It's a great way to show certainty or strong feelings without sounding too serious. So next time you feel passionate about your decision, throw a little so in there for emphasis. Synopsis of Friends Season 1, Episode 10, The One with the Monkey. In this episode, it's New Year's Eve in New York City, and the gang is feeling the pressure of not having a date for the big night. Ross, still dealing with the aftermath of his divorce, decides to adopt a pet monkey named Marcel to keep him company, a spontaneous decision that adds some unexpected comedy to the episode. Meanwhile, the group makes a pact. No one will bring a date to their New Year's Eve party so they can all just hang out together, pressure-free. But, one by one, they each break that promise. Joey invites a single mom he just met, Monica brings a coworker, and Phoebe shows up with David, a sweet, nerdy scientist she's just started dating. As midnight approaches, tensions rise, awkward moments unfold, and romantic hopes fizzle. Ross is left worrying about being alone, Chandler grows increasingly desperate for a New Year's kiss, and Rachel faces heartbreak when her ex-boyfriend Paolo makes a surprise return. By the end of the night, things don't exactly go as planned, but in true Friends style, the group sticks together, proving once again that no matter how messy life gets, good friends can make it better. And yes, Marcel the monkey steals a little of the spotlight too. And that wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. I appreciate you spending your time with me as we unpack these fun, useful phrases and cultural moments from Friends. If you enjoyed it, make sure to join me next time for more easy, everyday English you can actually use. Until then, take care, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.